Hey, y'all, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mason. It's a Thursday, and we usually do throwback episodes on Thursdays, but today's a little special. As you saw in the title, we have a pretty amazing guest, Bear Grylls. And yes, it is that Bear Grylls. There's probably only one of them. There might be another Bear Grylls out there somewhere, but it's a pretty rare name. It is the Bear Grylls, the adventurer, the man vs. wild, running wild with Bear Grylls, just legend all around. I don't know what there is to say. There's pages and pages of his adventures and achievements and things he's done. Chief Scout of the Scouts. There's so many things he does and has done. But today is actually the release of his newest show called I Survived Bear Grylls. You can watch it on TBS. The trailer is linked in the show notes if you want to check it out and a little bit about it. But so what it's about is, after spending his entire career rescuing himself and putting others through intense situations and saving others from near-death experiences, he's flipping the script and creating a game show with adventure where seeing if contestants can beat him at his own game and survive everything that he goes through. Bear was gracious enough to sit down with me last week in New York City to talk about it. Pretty cool opportunity. It all happened pretty quickly, and I was able to make it happen. And it's a shorter interview, but we're going to be doing a little bit longer interview later in the year as the show progresses. We're going to be interviewing Bear again with his co-host for I Survived, as well as with Jordan Conley, the co-host of I Survived. And just hear their stories, hear about the series, how it's going. But this was a really special and unique opportunity. As y'all know, I don't get the chance to sit down and talk to guests in person a lot. Obviously, Bear being from the UK, there's very small chance, but it worked out. And so here it is. Let's go ahead and dive in. Bear Grylls, welcome to Adventure Sports Podcast. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Nice to be with you.
There's a lot of scenarios I imagine meeting you. Where do you think you're going to meet Bear Grylls? It wouldn't be here in Central Park.
All I'd say is I don't do a lot of these, and I tend to do them when we're on a press day, which we are now. So in New York for press for this new show, and Dell, who's with us here, who travels around, has been on so many adventures with me over the years. He always goes, his less polite one would be herding cats, which is like getting me through New York.
That's the less polite one.
Yeah,
okay.
He says it's like taking Crocodile Dundee to town. It's like if you let it out, he's gone. But we did. We had a nice run around Central Park, got the shirt off, got in the sun, lay on the ground, got under a tree for 10 minutes. Feel re-grounded, recharged, ready back into press interviews. So yeah, nice to be with you.
That is a concept I want to dive in.
Yeah.
A quick trip outside, sitting under a tree, laying in the grass, that still does that for you? Gets you a little bit of nature for someone who's used to just huge things.
It's everything.
That still does
It's everything.
Something.
It's the center of every day. Wherever I am, try in the morning to get outside, get sun on the face, get the shoes off, even when it's cold, move through the grass, over the rocks, through the mud. I've never been scared of mud, even in the city. I think it's a great thing. I think it's healing. I think the fresh air is important, and then try and get a workout in most days. Short and sharp, sort of strength workout. As I get older, I kind of really feel the resistance training is really important. Then I get cold, get in a cold shower or whatever, and then I'm ready to hit the day.
Those little things add up, huh? That's awesome.
But I think we find the things, don't we, in our life that works and that heals us and that grounds us. And I find as I get older, I need these things more and more. I gravitate towards those elements of my life, and the wild and the outdoor places have been healing, beautiful influences through so much of my life, from a kid growing up through to so many of the adventures and through to my job and all of that stuff, through to being a dad. So yeah, try not to ever forget the roots and keep the roots at the heart of everything.
Literally.
Well, I think, as you lie under a tree, or, it sounds wacky, but even put your hands on a tree. I've done it for years, even just even if you're in a city, you don't have to be in a massive rainforest to feel the power of nature. And, even Central Park, I find New York hectic and hard. I can't do more than a day, and these guys know it. But I find even like Central Park is old. I mean, you go to some of those rocks. If you rewound 1,000 years, that rock wouldn't look any different, and they're trees that are hundreds of years old. And I don't know, there's something great about connecting with nature wherever you are, even in a city. And I often, say this to scouts, as one of the jobs I do as chief scout to all these incredible 55 million young scouts around the world, but that adventure truly is a state of mind, and you can get it in a city just as much as in the big mountains.
And looking at the map here, Central Park's huge. I mean, it's a big area.
It's big, yeah.
That's some valuable real estate that they had a lot of foresight to set aside. Great planning.
Yeah, and thank goodness that it's here for those
place.
Hillbillies like myself who come to New York and struggle a little bit. There's something great.
Are you a hillbilly?
Well, a UK version of it,
okay,
yeah.
Because I'm a redneck.
For sure. I mean, it's like, what, and proud. I mean,
yeah.
We're super proud.
I mean, it's come on.
It means you're connected with the land. You laugh at yourself, and you have good old real friends.
Yeah,
that's what it means to me.
That's I'm so redneck. The place I came from, we invented the toothbrush, and they said if it would have been invented somewhere like New York, it would have been called the teeth brush. You know what I mean? 'Cause everybody...
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a dad joke. My powers are like I'm on her prime right now. You know what I mean? These little
you
kids.
Got a full set of them in today.
Right? Yeah. One of my goals in life: tell Bear Grylls some dad jokes. What would you say? And I don't know if you want to dive into stuff like this, but you're on camera a ton. I've heard you describe yourself as an introvert, which is crazy to think about. But what are some of the big misconceptions about you and the way you live and kind of your lifestyle? What I'm envisioning with that question is people just think you're always out doing big things, but really, what is your life like?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I think people are often surprised that I really struggle in front of the camera so much, and I really do. I mean, it gets worse as I get older, which I find annoying.
That's not convenient.
But you know what? I've learned not to run from that, and not to mind that kind of fact, and not to try and hide it. I think the irony is that tension has always been part of the success of why things have worked. And the more I look at things around me nowadays, if you like, it's that thing of the person who loves being on stage speaking is generally a bore, but the person, it's a struggle and they're speaking from in here and it's hard and here we go. You're generally interested to hear. And I think it's the same with TV. If somebody loves being on TV and it's all kind of, I think, I don't know, maybe it's not worse, but all I can say is for me, it's a struggle, and it always has been. And from day one, from my first ever show, from Man vs. Wild, where the cameraman said, I never forget, we were walking into the start point of a journey. Do you want to hear this story?
I mean, was I dozing off or something?
No. But I kind of always think, people want to know. Does anyone want to know this? But I haven't told this one before, but I mean, we were episode 1, the pilot show of Man vs. Wild. I'd done nothing on TV, and we were a small team, and I didn't know what I was going to do. All I knew is the guy said, "We're going to drop you in the middle of somewhere, and you're going to have your small team with you, and just gun it, go, and film it all." And we were walking to where we were going to start this journey, and a snake came across the path we were on. We were in the Rockies. And I grabbed the camera guy. I said, "It's fine." And it was coming towards us. And I said, "Just stand still. It'll go past." And the snake went past. And then we carried on. And then we got to the place where we were starting. And the cameraman goes, "Okay, well, here we go. Let's see where this journey leads." And he pressed record. And he pointed it at me. And he said, "So here we go. What's happening?" I was like, I didn't know what, I froze. I didn't know what to do. And I'll never forget Simon. He just put the camera down. He goes, "Remember when we were back there on the trail and that snake came across and you told me what to do and you explained why the snake was doing that?" He goes, "Just forget the camera. Just let's do it like that." I went, "Okay." And then he never ever again said like camera on action. It was just like, he'd hold it like this, always hold it low, like long arm, hang it down by his ankle, and he'd just go. He wouldn't say anything. We'd just start going, and then as we start moving and running and jumping, and he'd slowly lift it up, and it would end up in his shoulder. But by that stage, I wouldn't even notice it, and I'd always talk to him, and I'd always help him, and he'd help me, and you'd see his hand in and out, and this was the raw beginnings of a type of filming that became something that I felt I can do. I don't mind that, because I'm not thinking about a camera. I'm just thinking about the adventure and actually planning a route and looking at the weather and thinking, have we got everyone together, and is everyone good, and can we get down this, and that became the show. But they always used to, and then they'd often say, well, hold on, we've missed something, can we pick that up? And then it would be terrible. So they just learned very quickly, you can't pick things up like that. We've either got it or we haven't got it. And the raw mess and incompleteness of everything is actually okay, and is where the energy comes from. And therefore, over the years, I've learned not to mind the fact that I don't like being on camera. Just that tension is a good thing. The harder things for me are things like days like today, where I've got to do, be in front. No, actually, I find it easier easier to speak like to this sort of thing, so off camera. I just don't like cameras. I just really, really don't like cameras. And it's now a running joke with our team. It's like, just sneak it on.
Yeah, don't say action.
Anyway,
right?
I'm waffling, but you get it.
Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible. I know on this show we don't always talk about gear, but good versus bad gear can make or break an adventure experience. And I find the best gear is the gear that I don't even think about on the adventure. And what I mean is that the gear doesn't get in the way. It's not uncomfortable. It's not low quality. And it also doesn't have tons of distracting bells and whistles. It's what I need, and it's going to hold up. And that's why I'm a huge fan of Outdoor Vitals. They create ultralight performance gear the right way. It's built by outdoor enthusiasts for outdoor enthusiasts. It is absolutely not designed and made by people with suit and ties in a corporate office somewhere. I know the folks personally at Outdoor Vitals. I'm actually wearing one of their shirts right now. And what I've found as I get better and better and more experience in the outdoors is I'm willing to pay for quality, because a lot of times you only pay for it once, because it lasts forever. And that's what I'm finding with Outdoor Vitals. I own around half a dozen pieces of gear from them, and I wear it out, and it is still holding up. And there's all these little things that they've thought through, like with their sleeping bag, there's a zipper right in the middle, and I find it so much more comfortable to zip my sleeping bag up right there. And there's all these tiny little improvements they've made without it being, useless distractions or just the latest thing that doesn't really actually help. So I know when I need a piece of gear and I don't want to do all the crazy research into what's best, I know that the folks at Outdoor Vitals have thought through it all. And if you want to check out some of their new innovations and the great gear they have, go to outdoorvitals.com. Again, that's outdoorvitals, VITALS.com. And tell them Mason at Adventure Sports Podcast sent you. We all love getting out in the wild. Whether you're camping, fishing, kayaking, whatever it is, you want to know that you're prepared and ready for anything. Enter the Relion Battery Outlaw 1072S, a portable power station built exclusively for off-grid adventure, fulfilling your battery needs anytime you're out in the wild. The 1,000-watt Outlaw packs 72 amp hours of power. That translates to over 250 phone charges or a whole week's lighting. And with an LCD screen for a real-time readout of your power status, you'll never get caught without power. Recharge at home from your vehicle, or you can even use solar energy. You get zero carbon emissions, bringing all the power you need without all the noise and fumes of a gas generator like you see oftentimes at campgrounds. Plan your next adventure with Outlaw from Relion. Currently on sale for a limited time at relionbattery.com/adventure. And that's RELION battery.com/adventure. Relion Outlaw 1072S, powering adventure without limits. That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode. Oh, no, I get it. No, that's reminds me. Are you familiar with a guy named John Muir? He's the father of the national parks, saved Yosemite, saved Yellowstone. I mean, he was hugely influential in why land is even protected land is even a concept. He pushed that heavily in the late 1800s. He got famous for his writing. That's how he got the message out. That was the marketing. Loathed every word he ever wrote. Hated writing, dreaded it, but it was so powerful, and it worked. And I think that tension worked. So I imagine if he just decided not to. Oh, this siren's pretty loud, ain't it?
Let's give it.
That's how we know we're in New York, right there. But that reminds me of that a lot. And I'll say this while the siren's getting out of the way. The camera thing coming on. I've had so many friends on this show where I'm like, all right, let's hit record, and they don't, and they like, what happened? I was just talking to my friend, and then now I hit this red button's shining, and they can't do it. It's crazy. It's really weird how that happens, and there's no camera involved, So I've seen it happen with other people too. Yeah, it's a practice skill.
Well, I think it's okay. It's okay. We all have our stuff, don't we, in life? We all have the stuff we struggle with, and I think one of the lessons I've learned is don't run from the scary stuff. And actually, just because something makes you nervous doesn't mean it's not a reason not to do it. Otherwise I'd never have done any TV. Otherwise I'd never done any of this. But I do think we're kind of conditioned often to run from the scary stuff, run from the stuff we're scared of. And all that happens is that the green monkey on our back, the thing we fear, gets bigger. And actually, when you stop and you face it and you walk towards it, things are okay. I mean, the wild says it, doesn't it, all the time? Face the wolves, swim strong when you're surrounded by sharks. Don't run, because in the wild everything gets worse. Unless it's a saltwater crocodile, actually, that one.
Right. Yeah.
But generally, you get the
generally speaking. Speaking of monkey, wasn't that one of your nicknames growing up?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Was there a chance we'd be talking to Monkey Grylls right now?
So, a strong chance
in an alternate universe.
But at school, my dad taught me to climb when I was a young boy, and at school that was the kind of only thing I was ever much good at, and even that I wasn't brilliant at it, but I loved it, and I was always a kid that could climb up the buildings and up the drain pipes and up the roofs, and I used to love that. I used to lead little kind of missions at night time and sneak out of the window and go and climb up this stuff. So at a young age it was monkey, but bear was before that, really. I mean, I was christened Edward, and then my sister went cool. That became Teddy. And then that became Bear, and it was always. I mean, it's
down in the South we call it your government name. You got a government name, you got the name everybody knows.
Yeah, I've got my government name, and I got my name. It's always been ever since, from teachers to sergeants in the military to it's always been Bear. But you're right, it could have been Monkey, and still is to two of my great friends.
Okay, it's not nearly as marketable. I don't think we'd be doing that. Maybe we'll see. Maybe who knows? It could have worked even better. I think.
Well, it's funny because it's sort of. Somebody came up to me the other day, they go, is that your real name? I suppose Bear Grylls does sound like it's sort of, I don't know. I feel quite detached from that person, actually, often, to be honest.
Bear Grylls, yeah.
Yeah,
or what people
because that becomes a sort of a thing of, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, I think the gulf between the real person and the Bear Grylls of TV probably gets bigger. And if you've been one of the people walking past seeing me asleep under the tree 20 minutes ago, you would have gone, is that really?
Is that Bear? Is that Bear Grylls?
It's not very heroic, asleep under a bush.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. So speaking of that, a lot of your time, a lot of what people know you is through a lens, through a camera. You've got this new show coming out. What is different about this I Survived? What I'm noticing, and I've heard you talk about this, is kind of moving away almost from like personal achievement more towards community focus. I feel like community's always been there, but almost getting that in front of the camera more.
Well, I think what I've always loved about the wild, from my own experience and from what I've seen with scouts or from running wild, is I love the way the outdoors builds people. It builds quiet confidence and courage, and teaches it's just about respect and humility and connection and friendships and challenge and risk and effort and struggle and failure, all these words that I love, that for me are life right there. I love that part of the outdoors and the wild, and I see how that builds people. So I've always tried to do shows that keep that at the beating heart. It's about empowering other people. It's what I've always tried to make. Even with that original Man vs. Wild show, always try to make it about this is what you could do. If you've got nothing else and you're up against it, this is what you could do. It's what I try and do with Running Wild. I take all these, they might be superstars, but they're often adventure wilderness rookies. They know nothing. And it's kind of fun because you're saying, look, the wild is amazing. And these guys come, they don't need the money or the fame. They come because they want that intangible thing that the outdoors gives us that you know so much about as well. And you can't buy it. You've got to earn it. And the doorway is through blood, mud, sweat and tears and struggle and failure and being cold, wet and hungry. But it's amazing the other side of that. And so I've always tried to keep that spirit at the heart of all the shows. And I Survived Bear Grylls is just like a microcosm version of that. We've turned all of that spirit of being empowered, being challenged and then empowered, turned it into a survival adventure game show, essentially, where I recreate these disaster survival scenarios, put people in it, see who crumbles, see who thrives. Each episode, one winner, super fun, light-hearted, but with a real kind of heart to it. And it's that thing of, there are a lot of armchair survivalists out there. I mean, you know this more than me. You meet them the whole time as well. And it's easy. The wild and survival and adventure all sounds great and glamorous until you're beat up at 4 a.m, cold. You know it. And the glamour's gone. The romance is gone.
It's gone. And you're crying. I don't know if you cry out there. I cry when the dishes
There've
are
definitely
hard.
been some moments.
It's just like, this is going to be a great story, though.
Well, and a great, that's the thing. Our scars and our wrinkles, they're all stories, aren't they? But my point is, there are a lot of armchair guys who come up to me and they go, "Oh, if I was in this situation, I'd smash it." Or they say, if my dad was in this, he'd be so good at this. Or my wife would be a demon in this. And it's like words are words. Let's take these people, and each episode we take 10 of them. We put them in these intense, short, sharp survival situations. And it's going to test their spirit and their physicality and their resilience and their mental strength. And at the end, there's one winner. And it's always the unexpected ones at the end. And it's why this show has been, for me, so inspiring to do is that those who are just words tend to go. And those that are all heart tend to grow. And I love that.
That rhymed. I don't know if you noticed. I know you're tired.
No, there you go. Yeah, some accidental rhyming.
Yeah. Any big difference between celebrities and non-celebrity adventurers? Maybe, or are they just, like normal everybody else?
Well, I think that is more the truth, actually. And that's another thing I love about the wild. It's a great leveler. It doesn't care how famous you are, how rich you are, who you are. It just asks you give your all, and it rewards that. And it's a humbling place. And if you don't respect it, it's going to kick your ass. It's that thing of Mother Nature, like your mama. If you respect her, she'll treat you right. But if you disrespect her, she'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're a celebrity or whoever, a kid or a regular person like on I Survived Bear Grylls. It just asks a question. It doesn't care who you are, but it asks the question, what are you made of? And the wild, as you know better than anyone, it challenges us. It asks us, who are you made of when you're under pressure, when you're hurting? And you're never always going to be great in those moments, but I do think being able to have that calm in the crisis and step up in the big moments is a muscle inside that we can all develop. And it's great to see in people.
Who inspires you these days?
I think one of the proudest things I do is my role as Chief Scout to all these young people around the world. And, I get to travel to a lot of countries, and I see scouts helping out in refugee camps and disaster zones all around the world, often from the most difficult and challenging backgrounds. Young people coming together, united with a common set of good values, trying to be kind and helpful. And it's hard not to be moved by that. When I see, which I regularly do, young scouts holding the hands of dementia sufferers in senior citizens' homes just quietly on a Wednesday night. Awesome. I mean, it's like kindness makes the world a better place. And time again, it's young people that are always the inspiration. And that's me at heart. It's how it all started for me. Nothing's really changed. And I don't want to ever drift too far away from that. I want to live knowing that adventure truly is that state of mind.
Tell us a little bit about outdoors.com.
But I know this is something you champion so much, the outdoors. It's why we It's why we started this business, outdoors.com, is to bring people together, people who love the wild places and want to be well-resourced and have community and the connections. And ultimately, we go to the wild often for that quiet and that solitude and that healing and all that good stuff. But it's always really rooted in relationships and with great friends, people we go through those experiences with. And even when we're on our own, it's about relationships between us and the outdoors. So I'm really proud of the team at outdoors.com, partnering with great people, helping many people. Start of a really fun adventure for me, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bear, for being on Adventure Sports Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend.
First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to the show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to growing the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/Adventure Sports Podcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Kroger, we know the minute a tomato is picked, the fresh timer starts. The sooner we get our produce to you, the fresher it is. That's why we've shortened the time from harvest to home for our tasty tomatoes, strawberries, and salads. So no matter how you shop, you have more time with your fresh produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More, Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.